for the nerds. This is for the brainiacs. This what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back. You ain't gonna touch me. You not gonna do nothing. You are not above me. I bet you wish you was me. I know it. I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, the Tortuga.
Oh, it's back. I don't have my shaker.
Man, I don't know how I feel about like the passive Conrad intro.
I know, this is like, it's very
like he's too
subdued
mellow.
Conrad.
Conrad sets the tone. He gets to choose if he wants to be subdued or hype or angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, he basically decides what the tone of the podcast is going to be today, and we're heading into the weekend a little bit. You know, we're just vibing. We're just vibing. You know, we're under the hood.
Mark, we matched today.
Chilling, man.
Do we?
Kinda.
I don't think so.
Pretty close. You don't think?
That's not that close.
I mean,
It's
blue.
like the same type of shirt.
Long sleeve blue shirt?
Well,
your shot's bouncing.
Oh shit, you in the club?
I don't know. Stop moving.
Yeah.
Brian was.
Maybe I was shaking my leg.
Yeah. Do it again. Yeah,
that was
it's
me.
Brian can cause an earthquake in this place.
Fucking old man.
The tortoise
nervous
is slow,
twitch.
but he is strong.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
You
You're
can't see.
basically our Lou Holtz. just here existing.
You know?
Sometimes
what
that's
I
all you
do.
can do.
Trying to put his 150 years in on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, why are you here today?
Yeah, the chat's already saying, why aren't you at the game?
Don't worry about it. I'm here. I got commitments. You know, I'm
He
here for
loves
all
us
the
so
people.
much.
I'm ready for the weekend. No, we were supposed to run 2 games. The second game got canceled, so I'm first up for the main.
Which means you're not going to get in for hours.
Usually I get in around 2, but
We'll
honestly, like maybe not. Who knows? Sometimes it gets later, and I just don't even feel like playing at that point.
So you have
for
to
the
dip out
opportunity.
mid-pod if they call you?
No, this
You're
isn't.
here for the people?
This isn't Ivy's room 3612. This
All right.
is Bobby's room 100.
Yeah, your win rate is
Get
about
there.
your win rate is about the same in that.
Were there times in your life where you were just like kind of chilling out, doing whatever, and then out of nowhere you got a call?
I left Brent's wedding reception to go play.
Mm-hmm.
But you were there for a bit. He acknowledged you, and then you left, or you just
Like I was there for the whole wedding, and I was at the reception for hours. But you know, at like 8 p.m., I got the seat, and I was just like, gotta go.
That's your perfect Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, he was looking for that anyway. There's a good chance he might have been gone at 8 o'clock anyway.
So honestly, the place was turning into a real shit show.
Yeah, but that's like call it the craziest one you'd imagine, because like I mean, obviously you and Hank's super close.
I had made a commitment that I wasn't going to leave, and then by 8 p.m. I was just like, yeah, I gotta get.
It was fun though.
It was so much fun.
You gave
It
him
was
a
fun.
piece.
Had Leroy Towns playing.
Maybe it wasn't his wedding reception that I left. It might have been his bachelor party, which would make a lot more sense because we were just at the Vine.
I was gonna say I
Yeah,
don't remember what his bachelor. Oh yeah, we were like playing poker, weren't we?
Yeah, we were just at the Vine. Like
Ooh.
everyone was getting.
I've heard
Real
you tell
fucked
this
up.
Yeah.
story multiple times, and you always said the party.
The wedding reception?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's more
Look, we
extreme.
all know how
I-
Matt is with
most
stories.
likely.
Okay.
I think it might have
it
been.
might have been both, honestly.
Yeah, it could have been both. I think it was the wedding reception, but it might have been later than that. I don't know. I just remember I took Jeno to get pizza. She was blacked out, and she stacked them all in the back seat of the car. And when we went around the bend, they just all slid.
Jeno is blacked out.
Yeah, I know. It's shocking.
Wow.
It's very shocking. All right, we have a special show for you guys today. It's the weekend, and we're going to head in ready to rock and roll. We're going to have our Weekend Warrior picks, which are going to be brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. We're going to be doing a pick'em style contest where we're each going to pick a higher or lower, and then we're going to submit those for a 20x multiplier. We like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
For the next few days on Underdog,
get you.
they are doing a $500 match bonus. So if any of you haven't already signed up, be sure to sign up now. You will get up to a $500 match bonus. Use sign-up code S4Y. That's our code. You can hit hashtag Underdog in the chat and get the link, or the link is in the description below. Be sure to follow that. Gives us a little bit of brownie points if you do. So we're going to go around the room and we're going to get everybody's picks in a moment. On top of that, you guys see a poll in the chat, I need you to vote on that poll because after our Weekend Warrior picks, we're going to go through our Circa Millions and Survivor picks. And right now we have a 4-way tie for a 3-way spot. So need you guys to vote on the poll. The top 3 vote getters are going to be the games that we decide to go with. And we're going to divulge those to you guys shortly. But starting with our higher lower picks, go ahead, Connie. Why don't you lead us off since you're such a cocksucker?
That is aggressive as
What a
He knows what he did.
Shit.
He knows what he did, Guapo.
Wow.
He knows what he did.
All right. I'll take the under on Najee rushing yards. You know, the Najee
Yeah, you know what he
Harris, the running back for Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to take the under.
What is that? 51 and a half?
Yeah.
51.5.
A half a touch.
I
football
can't
field.
I can't fault you too much for this one.
He
Conrad.
sucks, man.
He does not. It's not Najee's fault. Enough with the Najee hate.
Down with Najee.
I
hate.
tried to get fucking Pickett under too. He's only get 75 yards of fucking Pickens, and then it's over.
Oh my God, Brian, are you as happy as I am right now?
I am.
I'm so happy. I've never been more sure that we were gonna blow out the fucking Raiders than listening to Conrad with his down bad Steeler anti-hype.
Yeah, really?
We're finally not playing a
Top 5D.
top 3D, top 5D. Yeah. I mean,
don't get me wrong.
the Niners are out of this world.
Yeah.
They're-
Cleveland's defense is
Man,
good.
I remember.
I hate to give Cleveland any credit for anything.
the Niners
but
used to
their
be
defense
so
is really
bad.
good.
The Niners used to be so bad.
Yeah,
You haven't
that's like every team in the NFL except
You
the
haven't
Steelers.
lived long enough. The Niners were incredibly good when we were
No,
young.
I know that, but like I was around during the era of the Niners, just being like, oh, like you're playing the Niners again, like easy W, and now they're back to being good again.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get good players on your team.
I was under the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been kind of mid.
Yeah, Dolphins are good.
Dolphins are
They look
apparently
really good.
Dolphins are like looked at as like an elite, like best team in the AFC.
They look like
They're the
one of
class
the
of
best
the AFC
teams
right now.
like
one of the best
Dolphins
teams, yeah.
greater than Chiefs, which
Well,
is like
since
whoa.
you're talking about your Finns, why don't you give us your higher lower pick for
Look,
the
man,
week?
the fuel solver for the higher lowers and the Lions has been pretty good because I picked Tua over 21.5 receptions, but it got moved up to 22.
You mean completions?
Completion, sorry.
Yes,
He throws things.
I also really like that pick.
Yeah.
See, I like that pick for the same reason why I dislike that pick. Both those players are on my fantasy squad.
You playing? You didn't play Danny Dimes this week?
No,
You decided to not play him this week? That was probably good.
I'm currently in the process of trying to drop him for Austin Eckler.
I feel like the show doesn't work
Not
as
Austin
well.
Eckler, sorry.
Landon, do you know who
Akers.
Yeah, I was going to
Jerry
say, you're not
Rice
going to
is?
be able to.
Of course.
Okay.
Wide
Go
receiver.
ahead and get Akers.
Somebody
I
at
Hall
dropped
of Famer.
Akers.
I know. Yeah, that was back when the Niners were good, like the Joe Montana days. Like I know this,
Yeah.
but I also know that.
There was another wave. Steve Young won a Super Bowl with them in '94.
Four, yeah.
Yeah, that was before I was born. So
They
did it
beat
really
the
exist?
Chargers, they beat the Colts who beat us in the AFC Championship.
No, you had it right the first time. They beat the Chargers, who beat us. We beat the Colts to go to the Super Bowl. They beat
Oh,
them,
yeah,
we lost
that's
to
right.
Dallas.
That's
The next year.
That's right.
I
Barry
was gonna
Foster
say,
got
I don't
stuffed
really know how
at the
this
fucking
show
1
works
yard line.
when you and I agree.
I know.
What do
I
you
said
mean?
I liked the Tua over 21.5 completions. Like I like that too.
I like that a
and
lot.
everyone doesn't want that. They want
No.
you to hate it.
Well, I'm sorry. I hate the
They
Najee
want
pick.
you-
Yeah. Well, obviously we're all
Najee picks a fucking
we're
gem.
all homers except for Conrad, who's
He's
a
an
hater.
awayer. He's
I'm
He's a
not a
hater.
hater. He sucks.
No, you are a hater.
but
You're
I took-
such a hater.
He sucks.
I took the, it's got to, we saw last week, Pickett to Pickens. Finally,
You love saying that so much.
Yeah, I do. Deontay Johnson, unfortunately, on the IR.
I thought you were
with
supposed
a
to be like
hamstring. Well, he's hurt, so someone's got to pick up those, those targets. So
Someone's
A
gotta
lot
pick-
of it was Allen Robinson.
Yeah, it was, but it was clear that Pickens is now the number one. So I chose him, and they're playing obviously a defense that.
Swiss cheese.
To quote George Pickens, I can't name one person on that defense.
I will say the last
he's gonna
time-
put his money where his mouth is, and he's gonna get over 51.5 points.
Last time a wide
yards.
receiver said that, it was Jamar Chase saying, "We just lost to a bunch of elves."
Yeah.
So
that is
right.
true.
watch
Yeah,
out.
That's true.
That was post-mortem though.
I called them elves. We lost to some fucking elves, man.
called
But he
them
called
elves.
elves
Yeah,
before that.
first.
I mean,
So-
he's not wrong. They are elves.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they lost to some fucking elves.
I believe the
Brownie the elf.
I think the Niners are giving up, I don't know, the 11th most fantasy points. That is to wide
You
receivers.
mean the
so,
Raiders?
The Raiders.
Yeah,
What'd I say?
The Niners.
Not the Niners.
Not
the
the
Raiders.
The Niners are good.
So
We had this
Yeah.
conversation.
I think that one's
You know what,
a
Lamanna?
good pick.
I like that pick too.
Thank you. I bet you do, Matt. I bet you do.
I'm liking our contest so far. Guapo, what do you got?
Well, we got to flip a coin for me between me or him.
What are you talking about?
You can only pick for one team.
What?
You can
What are
only
you
pick
talking about?
one player per team.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
You can't pick the other side of what he picked, but you can still pick
Right.
the player. Yeah. Go ahead, Guap.
My choice is a gentleman by the name of Mike Williams, under 4.5 receptions.
Let me tell you something, Guapo.
I'm scared.
I don't like that pick. I'm very angry at that pick, actually.
Is he on your fantasy team?
He's also on my fantasy team.
How are they all on your
I
fantasy
don't
team?
know. You guys just have like some ability to just like get in there. You know,
You chose under?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll just have to see.
Just lower.
it's
Eckler
actually a really
is-
good line.
Yeah, Eckler is almost certainly not going to play. So, Herbert's going to have to probably lean more on his wide receivers.
Yeah,
A lot of that benefits Keenan Allen, mostly.
obviously.
But,
Williams is number 2
Yeah,
option.
so
That's
Williams
exactly
is a
what I
number
was
2,
thinking.
so we'll see what happens.
Let me tell you something. Guapo doesn't even know who this man is.
I know he doesn't. He just
For
picked
sure.
Mike Williams as like just an
He
easy name to
definitely was
remember.
just scrolling through, and I realized that on the scroll, the Chargers game is the first one listed, so that's how he
Yeah.
landed there.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty solid line. His first game, he had 4 receptions. I think last week he had 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually like pretty decent,
Yeah.
but I like the over on this one.
Yeah, so do
Or
I.
the higher.
I
the
do
higher.
too, but it's Guapo's pick, so we're going to roll with it.
He's
Yeah, we're
also
gonna- we're
on
gonna
your
go
fantasy
with-
team, so you're
Yeah,
biased.
we're gonna go with lower than. I'm very biased. We're gonna go with lower than 4.5 picks. I don't like that one. I'm stating
You're
my.
going on record.
I'm on the record.
I have Keenan Allen on my team, so I would prefer that the targets went
Yeah,
to
well,
him.
fuck you too. My higher lower pick is Jalen Hurts. I'm going higher than 45.5 rushing yards.
I like that pick,
Who
Matt.
are they
You know
playing?
why?
I like this. They're playing Tampa Bay.
Is he on your fantasy team?
He's also on my
Stop
fantasy
it.
team.
How are they all on your fucking team?
Because I have 5
we draft
teams.
well, bro.
I also have 5
You
fantasy
didn't
teams.
draft.
Oh yeah, I only have one team. Like
You
Yeah.
picked
you don't
Nazi in
count.
the third, and then you stopped drafting.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
It's not true. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I like Jalen Hurts to get out of the pocket a little bit. Tampa Bay, we're not really
What was
sure
your,
what we're
what was your
dealing
higher
with.
lower? It was
45.5.
Rushing yards.
Rushing yards.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like 4.5
I
what?
like
Not
that.
completions.
How
Wait,
much
what was the
yards?
one? What was the one that
Rushing
you
yards.
saw yesterday that I was like, we should just auto take this? This is a freebie.
It was a Lamar Jackson over 1 yard.
Higher than 1
Higher
yard
1 yard.
rushing.
It was just like a special, just like take one.
Higher than 1 yard rushing. So it's just a free pick.
I think it was
they-
just a
yeah.
yard, less than rushing.
They
yards.
give,
Yeah.
Oh.
they do that.
You
Right.
realize they did that with Saquon Bark? Oh, wait, not Saquon. Fuck.
It's just like a
Who
promo
got
to
injured?
get
Who
you
got
a free
injured?
win.
Oh no, Aaron Rodgers. They did it with Aaron Rodgers, 1 yard passing.
Oh,
And
it fucking missed.
Jesus Christ! I can't believe I forgot
missed.
that.
Yeah, it's the Lamar Jackson higher lower 0.5 total yards.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely should have obviously put that one on. That's a freebie.
All right, so let's get rid of your pick and get it out there.
Okay, so we're gonna get rid of the Najee Harris lower than 51.5.
No,
and we're
that's
just gonna
definitely
put
a
it in the
lot.
freebie of.
I thought you were going to say we're going to get rid of Guapo's pick.
We actually should get rid of.
No, I think
Guapo's pick, 'cause
Guapo's. I think Guapo's is like really close.
It is close, yeah.
But mine's like 30 yards. Yours is
Shut
clean.
up, Conrad. We
He's
know
gonna get
you
like
hate
22.
the Steelers.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, you didn't have any feelings towards the Steelers until
doesn't even
you
hate the
met
Steelers.
us, and now all of a sudden you hate the Steelers. Just like I didn't
No,
care.
no, not you. Not us.
I never
You.
cared about. I never once cared about the Jets or Giants until I met you, and you're such a repulsive human being. You're so goddamn toxic that
Steelers
now I
suck.
loathe the Jets and Giants. And you know what, Lamanna? We were
Yeah.
talking about this a little bit before the show. Do you know? Since 2017,
the Jets and the Giants are 31 and 32 in the NFL and everything.
Yes, we know.
Literally
It's
everything.
on Twitter. It's been on there
Yeah.
for 2 weeks now.
literally
We know.
everything. They have
bad.
the lowest winning percentage, the lowest points scored, and the lowest points differential. They're the
I
two
bet-
worst franchises in the NFL.
Honestly, though, this is like a hot take, bold take, but I think if they combine their teams together, they could get out of the 30s.
It's good math, Brian.
It's all right. We'll see you guys.
That's a nice hot take.
We'll see you guys
Good
soon.
job. Good job. We'll see you
We'll
guys.
see you guys soon.
What,
Go
the
your
New York
side.
Giants,
Just go your
the
side.
Gi Jets.
All right, so reminder, there is a $500 match bonus today if you guys sign up to Underdog Fantasy. That's underdogfantasy.com. You can hit hashtag underdog in the chat or click the link below. Use sign-up code S4Y. Give us some brownie points along the way. Be sure to get your pick'ems in there as well on the higher lowers. Don't mimic ours. At least take the freebie with Lamar. That one's a given for sure.
Pickens is a lock.
Pickens is a lock. All right, let's get into the Circa Millions and the Survivor. Let's get these picks out of the way really quickly. So for Survivor, I think we had three options, basically. It's going to be Jacksonville versus... Are they playing Houston or Indy this week?
I think it's Houston.
Houston, right?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
the same team to me.
I know. The Colts are actually a lot better, but...
Good.
So Jacksonville versus Houston, Kansas City versus someone down real bad.
Kansas City is playing the Bears.
Okay, yes, the Bears. And then the third option was Baltimore playing Arizona. Is that right?
God.
Yeah.
That is,
Is that
yeah.
correct.
Baltimore versus
That
Arizona.
is correct.
And then the fourth kind of contrarian option, if we really want to take a flyer, is the Dolphins. They are a pretty big favorite versus
Dolphins minus 6.5 against Denver.
Denver. Yeah. So those are our four options.
Dolphins at home too.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Here are the considerations. If we take Kansas City or Baltimore,
This is for Survivor.
Oh, wait,
sorry.
this is Survivor.
yeah, this is for Survivor.
Oh, okay.
So here are the major considerations. If we take Kansas City, the only other option to take on Christmas Day then would be the Eagles. If we
Playing
take,
who?
they played the Giants.
Well, that's probably... Just
So-
leave that in there.
So it's Kansas City versus maybe Houston.
But then you can't take the Eagles anywhere else either.
But we need them for
Right.
Christmas. I mean,
You have to. So there's three games on Christmas. It's Kansas City versus. I think it's Kansas City versus Houston. It's It's Kansas City versus the Raiders at home. The Eagles versus the Giants at home.
And then the Niners.
And then the third game is like the Niners versus somebody good,
the Ravens.
like Ravens. Yeah. So that one's getting ignored. So you're either taking Kansas City or Philly for Christmas Day slate, which means that who we pick this week matters a lot for the future.
I think...
If we take KC, then we obviously take Philly on Christmas Day. But then the following week, there aren't really many good games that week. It would pretty much just be like Jacksonville versus...
Well, oh, never mind. God.
I think Jacksonville maybe plays the Bears or Arizona that week. So effectively, if we take the Chiefs now, we're saving the Jags.
Okay.
If we take the Jags now, we're saving the Chiefs. If we take Baltimore now, we're also saving the Chiefs. But now we have to find somebody to slate in the final week of the season.
Right.
So basically, like otherwise, we would be saving Baltimore towards the end.
I'd rather not save Baltimore when they always choke or something. Or
That I can get on board
Lamar
with. Yeah.
might be hurt or something
I
along
can
those
always get on
lines.
board
I'd
with
rather
that.
get them out of the way ASAP for what it's worth.
That's kind of how I feel about Jacksonville. I don't know that I really want to be.
Jacksonville minus 8.
Yeah, I don't know that. Like we know Jacksonville's competitive now. I don't know that I really want to rely on them in week 19.
They got hot the end of last year.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Not that means they're going to do it the same
They also
again this
haven't-
year, but
Yeah.
shows that they have the ability to do it.
They also might just like have the South locked long before week 19.
So
That's always
also that's
worrisome.
also a consideration that maybe we have talked about or maybe we haven't in our Survivor chat. But like some of these teams right might
Hey, buddy.
have it locked down right.
Well, when we
and
build
nothing
from
to
the
play
back, when we build from week or slate 20 backwards, slate 20 would be Baltimore versus Pittsburgh, which it's almost impossible to imagine a scenario where Baltimore's resting that week.
I mean, it's hard to say because
Remember, there's only one bye week now.
I understand that, but a lot of times your just seed is locked, right? When your seed is locked, then you can rest too. It doesn't matter,
Yeah,
right? So it's not
true.
just about having the bye. Obviously, there's only one team that's going to have like bye and home field throughout. But
Well, I guess my point was
Yeah.
more so that they are likely to either be competing for the North or competing for the 1 seed.
yeah,
in which case I think it's a high probability that they're just starting their players. Basically, what the way I'm seeing it map out, and obviously I'm just projecting a little bit here, but I would imagine that they are one of 3 tiers, either competing for the number 1 seed, or they're in competition for the North, in which case that would then put them in competition for a home game or not.
Yeah.
And so by all those metrics, and if we look at like the past X amount of years or whatever, it's pretty consistent that nobody really gets to rest in the AFC outside of New England in the past, and then KC in the more recent present.
Right.
Nobody's been really running away. So divisions are always up for grabs, and home games are always kind of on the table. So I would imagine that feels like pretty safe to me that they're going to be playing. Slate 19, we have scheduled to be the Eagles at home versus a cupcake. It might be the Bears. That one is maybe a little bit dicier. It would be week 17 of the NFL.
Week 17.
I guess there's a chance that they could maybe start resting early, but I don't think it's very...
the Bears are playing Atlanta week 17.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing is, it might be. I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys might be fighting it out for that division too. So.
Right. It's tough to think that people start to rest 2 weeks out.
Right. Oh, 2 weeks no.
Oh,
yeah,
the Eagles are playing
2
the
weeks
Cardinals.
No. Okay. Yeah. I knew they played a cupcake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you're thinking about the second to last week or the second to last slate or whatever you want to call it, it's probably you shouldn't have to worry. You shouldn't take in too much consideration about resting the teams.
Yeah. So basically, like the strategy that I would like us to employ is to save the powerhouses for the end. Like you basically build for end game and work backwards, right? So we save the Ravens, we save the Eagles, we save the Chiefs. Those are going to be our Christmas through week 18 games. And then, building backwards off of that will be teams like, I think we have, there's one game that I'm not happy about. And it's the Browns late in the season versus the Cardinals on the road, I think, or the Texans on the road.
That's Danielle's game.
Wait, is there a scenario where we're playing to win the whole thing and we have the Ravens over the Steelers?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you rooting for? Say the Steelers. Say it comes down to whoever wins that game wins the division.
Right.
And we have the Ravens to win the Survivor Bowl.
Right. So
where are you going, Mark?
And hold on. Also, it's going to be for you to get the shit slapped out of you.
Wait, why?
Huh?
Why?
Because if you lose the game, you won't be.
The Steelers just have to win 9 games, bro.
Yeah.
They can miss the playoffs. They can.
Yeah. If the Steelers are playing for the division, they'll have more than 9 wins.
Yeah. They can just win 9 games.
I will say, I do kind of like
that would be unreal if that actually happened.
How rich would I have to be to root for the Steelers?
Not rich enough. Definitely not.
So how much is first?
$3 million.
Oh, definitely not rich enough.
It's not even.
But I have to share it with all you fucks.
That's true.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of like the lore of the Steelers being 8-8, and they need to win this game.
Right.
So like you need.
So I either get slapped.
Yeah.
I either get slapped and make millions of dollars, or I get to slap Conrad and like be poor. How many millions of dollars would I pay to slap Conrad?
If they told you right now, they said, look, the Steelers can go 9-8 or whatever the way it is, or you slap Conrad, but you're poor.
Right. Yeah. It's close. It's closer than it should be.
The Steelers when you slap Conrad, you're poor.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than it should be. I'll tell you that much right now.
If someone said call it, well,
that's a 7-figure slap incoming for sure.
Well, I mean, because you have half.
I have a little bit more. I think I gave you guys all 7%.
Yeah.
Oh, do I have 7? I don't have 10.
Correct.
He couldn't do 10.
I got diluted.
He couldn't.
Well, it's the 3 of you or the 4 of you, Melissa, and I guess I should have clarified because there are people in the chat that don't actually come on the podcast.
Did Nikki get a slice?
Right. I'll have to think about this.
You have to think about it while you're slapping Conrad.
Well, I'm gonna have to make a clarification.
Well, no, we'd be getting no money.
I'm gonna have to make a clarification by the end of the day. Like does Hunt get in on this free roll? Like, Andre, Henry.
It's the wrong kind of football for them.
Andre and Henry are for sure out. Yeah. They're 100% disqualified. Now
his recovery.
It comes out to Nikki and Hunt. It's like I feel like Nikki's contributed a little bit.
I mean, she was an owner of the Packers.
Right.
She also knows way more about the NFL than Hunt does.
What? I made my decision. Executive decision.
I don't think you cannot do one or the other.
Nikki and Hunt are going to split 7%.
Oh my God.
That's the executive decision. That's fair. Right. That's fair.
That's fair.
I mean, you guys put in all the work.
It's a free roll regardless. So.
Right. Yeah.
What's 7%?
And so has been decided.
It is decided.
So I guess I should know this, which I assume I do. But if more than one team survives the whole season, they just split it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's never happened.
No, it happens every year.
It happens every year.
Most every year.
So it almost always goes to the end. Because I know there's a scenario where it could be over before. They're like, well, you're saving these teams for the last slate, but it could actually be over before then.
Correct.
Is it winner take all?
No.
There's different, second place is something?
I think it's an $8 million prize pool.
Okay, so if there's three teams that chop, they chop for second and third all combined.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we land on? What was our pick?
Well, not the Ravens because we want that scenario in play.
Honestly, I think for the lore, we need to keep Ravens for the last game.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to keep.
I think we need to save the Chiefs for Christmas. That's pretty.
Wait, does that mean Dolphins are on the table?
No, Eagles also. Oh,
the Eagles will be the week after if we play the Chiefs. I think Jags.
I think that leaves us with Jags.
The week after.
I think I'm pretty high on the Jags this week.
Whew.
Feels good.
Well, Jags. So we're picking between
ETN,
Jags
baby. He's
or
on my fantasy team.
Jags or Dolphins.
Jags or Dolphins, but I like Dolphins week 6.
I like Dolphins later on. They can beat people. Jacksonville's gonna beat Houston.
The Dolphins can beat.
Although it's scary.
People. Why is it scary?
That Trevor Lawrence has never covered a home spread at home.
Wait a minute.
I understand. I'm just saying it's close game.
It's only 2.
I thought that past results didn't matter ever.
Oh, that's right.
True. Yeah.
That's right, Landon. That's a very good point you bring up there.
You're an absolute cunt. Absolute cunt.
ACA. Wait, did I say that right?
No,
I didn't.
What happened to history?
Shut up over there.
It's YAC, you absolute cunt.
Oh, sorry.
Yak.
We need to have people understand the joke.
Yeah, one of these days we'll bring it up. For now, it's just an insider.
For now, it's just for us only.
That's why I went with the full,
That's a tremendously fantastic point, Landon. You deserve a lot of credit for.
My point is going to call the cunt by Conrad.
Listen. Back to the point at hand.
This is why
ETN is going to run all over the fucking Texans, right? He's going to run fresh for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's on your fantasy team.
It sounds like it's a lot, Brian.
That's beside the point. I mean, it's part of the point, but it's beside the Texans
it's
are
adjacent to the point.
Bad at the old rush game.
I like Jaguars.
Okay, we like Jaguars. Jaguars are locked. We're taking the Jags for the Jag-offs.
This is for the podcast.
This is for the podcast.
Wait, do we have some is it podcast one just because we're making all the picks on the podcast, or does someone win something from being a member? How does this work? What makes it the podcast one?
We just do it on the podcast.
Okay, got it. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, maybe we'll do something for a members giveaway. We can workshop that when we go to Big Bear.
Okay.
All
right. 1% on
all right. So finally, we have the Circa Million. By the way, I should point out, give a huge shout out to Unabated Sports, Captain Jack and Gina, who have been on the episode previously. They have been letting us play around with their models. A lot of fun.
Amazing.
Lot of fun. Have been modeling the Survivor for Circa for the last couple of days. So that's kind of where we're coming from with creating for the end game, working backwards. We're mimicking their model a little bit. We also use their model for the Circa Millions. This is where we pick against the spread. And we have 2 games that we all agreed on. We came up with a simple majority very easily. We all like New Orleans.
They're playing.
I think they are giving up 2 points, or they're getting 4 points. I can't remember.
The line right now is Green Bay -1. So
okay, well,
the line was New Orleans
we
plus
got
2.
New Orleans plus 2.
That's good.
So we locked that one in, and we all agreed that we like the Titans plus 3.
Was it plus 3 or plus 3.5?
Or sorry, plus 3.5. They are on the road
Browns
versus the Browns. Yeah, we like that one. The Browns look like shit. Steelers.
The defense looks really good.
Steelers fucking rocked them.
Defense is good.
Yeah,
Listen,
the
don't
defense
talk-
looks great.
Don't
They
talk
gave up
smack about a bunch of L's.
26 points
They're
to
also
the Steelers.
playing the Steelers offense.
That's true. That is true. So what we need out of you guys on the audience, and I kind of mentioned this at the top of the show, is we needed to break a 4-way tie between the Raiders minus 2.5 versus Steelers at home, the Lions minus 3 versus the Falcons at home. Oh shit!
Oh shit!
I fucked up.
You did.
You locked it in?
No, I put in.
Oh no!
Just the poll.
I put in
You
the.
put in the Steelers again.
No, I put in the Titans. Oh,
No.
we weren't locked in on the Titans.
Thank
oh my
God.
God, no! I'm heartbroken.
Why?
That was the game I was most confident in, and it's the one that lost the poll.
Which one?
Yeah, no. I mean, the
Titans
Titans are
Browns?
really bad. Though. That's the thing.
Yeah. We were locked with Dallas giving up infinite versus someone bad.
Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans are just—they're not good. They don't look good.
Yeah,
Tannehill doesn't look
we
good.
locked Dallas minus 12.5 versus Arizona.
Did I vote for Titans?
3 people did.
3 people did.
Was I one of them?
I was one of them.
I can't imagine.
Titans 3.5 was Conrad, Guapo, and Matt.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank
we
God they
put the
lost.
poll up for you guys and asked you to pick what game you liked as far as betting against the spread. And the overwhelming winner, which actually did have the highest edge in the model, was the Raiders minus 2.5 versus Steelers.
Oh no.
Right behind that was the Lions minus 3 versus the Falcons. I'm nervous about that game, man. The Falcons look a lot more for real than I
The
expected.
Falcons are for real, and the Lions are beat up a little.
It kind of fell a little flat last
They're
week.
beat up. I mean, St. Brown, Amon St. Brown has turf toe, I think. Obviously, David Montgomery is out.
Yeah.
So, like,
Does he ever play?
yeah, he
What do you
looked
mean?
great
He was
until
their
he got hurt.
Well,
They were-
this is like the third time he's been hurt.
Yeah, it's Gibbs time, though.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's time for the kid.
And then lastly, you guys like the
They're questionable.
Ravens minus 8.5 versus the Colts. I like that. I mean, I'm always anti-sweating the Ravens.
Okay,
but
just let's clarify they.
Yeah.
They is Guapo, Nikki, and Melissa.
what are you saying they for?
No, well, Nick,
For the who voted
okay,
on that.
Nikki,
No,
Nikki,
I'm talking about
Nikki's
the-
legit. Nikki's legit. She pays attention to football.
I'm
She
saying, where are
understands.
you looking at?
Well,
I'm
Guapo
talking
and
about the
Melissa-
poll in the chat.
In our chat.
No.
God damn it, Landon.
Oh, Landon.
I had the
No,
I
he
had
put
the
a
users
poll-
vote.
Right, yeah, the chat is going to choose because there was a tie in our poll. There was a
got
tie
it.
amongst a bunch of teams. So he put it to the people.
The people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So
what?
in short, they don't like the Titans versus the Browns.
I see.
Good.
So that one is
I
now
don't
out.
either.
We are now locked on New Orleans, Dallas, Raiders, Baltimore, and the Lions. Those are our 5.
Balt plus 8.
God bless.
We have the Lions.
Yeah.
Dallas.
I voted Lions, and then I kind of regretted it, but it was just like I was looking at these picks, and I'm like, I don't like any of them.
Man,
I don't know.
I see. So-
simply
Yeah.
due to Conrad's spite, we fell 1,000 places down in the rankings in
Because
the Circa
we took the
Millions
Browns.
because we took the Browns. 7.5 wins would have
Yeah.
gotten us in
Time
the
out.
top 500.
Time out. Listen.
How many entries?
They
are there?
win the game if Nick Chubb
lot.
doesn't get hurt.
Okay. Oh,
It's
no.
what are we saying?
Yeah, well,
He
yeah.
got
you're-
hurt. Yeah, sorry. You know the guy got
when you're
their best player
relying
on
on
the
a guy
field got
who has
hurt.
rubber bands for ligaments.
Oh
like,
my god!
If my aunt,
Sorry, too soon.
if
too
my
soon.
aunt
I
had a
love Nick
dick,
Chubb.
she'd
He's on
be
my
my
dynasty
She
team.
was. Your aunt was playing with the dick. She
if
was
my,
in the
if
game.
my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. What are we talking about here?
what do you
Like,
mean? It's not like he was injured.
If
and not
ifs and
playing.
buts were candy and
Oh
nuts, it'd be
my
Christmas in
God.
July.
Yeah.
Like,
Look,
Conrad, you live some fantasy world where like somehow we go back
Yeah.
through
He
the time
got-
continuum.
Right.
Their best player got injured. That's what happened.
So did ours. Minka got hurt.
Yeah.
We still fucked you up. Got 14 points on defense.
It's the best player on the field.
Second-
Nick Chubb.
second
Like
best
literally
TJ
one of
Watt.
the best receivers in all of the history of the NFL, Deontay Johnson wasn't playing in the game.
Thank you, Brian.
Like,
Thank you.
Butterfinger
Right.
fucking
He finally
Johnson?
came around to Deontay Johnson.
Everybody came around to Deontay this year, and then he got hurt.
Wait a minute. Last year it was like the dropped ball gate, right?
Yeah.
He just couldn't. But
Yeah.
now this year he can suddenly catch.
Listen,
But he's still injury prone.
Listen, Landon, let me talk to you for a second, Landon, okay? You understand. You've been around this podcast long enough. Lamanna and Conrad are very different human beings. And I have love for them both in very different ways. But in some regards, they're very much the same. The same way that idiot ran Zach Wilson out of the locker room last year to talk about how he's going to come back this season when Aaron Rodgers goes down and win the goddamn Super Bowl. It's the same way that idiot said Deontay Johnson has the worst hands in all of football.
He does.
And then turned around and claimed him to be a number one this year.
Wait a minute.
God.
How?
Berkey pulled up some obscure stat about him like having a very
It was
low
not an
drop
obscure.
rate. I don't know.
He has a very low drop
cherry
rate.
picked it to like 4
Wait,
games.
so you're
I don't know how he did it, but he did
So
it.
you're saying historically,
Right, but like, yeah,
he doesn't drop many
right.
balls.
What I'm saying is,
I mean, I watch him in the game drop balls, and
This-
the ones
this
he
is it.
catches, he runs backwards.
this is it. This is what it comes down to. His yak is terrible. That I will wholeheartedly
well, it's
agree
hard,
with.
well, your yak's
He's
gonna
a
be
yak.
terrible when you
He's a
catch the
yak.
ball and immediately run the other way.
Okay, so here's
your
what,
own end zone.
Here's what happens during the NFL season. I'm very guilty of it as well sometimes, and I try to be at least mindful of it. But this whole pass the eye test bullshit doesn't stack up when you look at statistics. Like,
It's so much more fun, though.
yeah, but like everybody who's screaming like
Right.
Warren is going to be like a number one back in the NFL
Listen.
and Najee's absolute trash, their stats both suck.
Listen.
Like they're both just absolute
Right.
garbage because the offensive
Right.
line is ridiculously
Here's the
bad.
thing, Burke. Once you start coming around with all your numbers and stats and statistical analysis, you just lose your Yinzer card. It's just gone. That's it. It's out.
What about
He's
prior?
right.
I'm watching the game. I see what's happening. These guys suck. These guys are good. That's it.
You know what?
Wait, what-
Pittsburgh dad has a point.
Wait a minute. What about history? Does that matter or no?
only if it helps back your story. If it refutes anything that you're talking about, history doesn't mean a thing, right, Conrad?
I plead the fifth.
Got it.
God, thank
Oh,
God.
man.
Finally, we've got him.
I just don't
Stop
understand.
incriminating
look,
himself.
I'm very happy that they both are willing to change on their prior opinions.
Yeah.
I'm not changing on shit. Deontay Johnson is absolute trash.
You see-
Najee Harris is absolute trash.
Burke,
And the only reason
You
why
try to offer,
I-
Conrad 1 ounce of enlightenment, and
I
he's
don't
just
want
like,
any of your dog shit. Keep your
I
dog
was
shit.
I was in Pittsburgh this past weekend, right? I was at a bar.
You were home.
watching the game, surrounded by official, authentic Yinzers, and it's just this is what I got to see it in person, where they just scream and yell at the TV.
Yeah.
And have literally no idea what they're talking
yeah,
about.
100%.
And it's
My
so
granddad was a
glorious.
diehard.
And I love to be right in the middle of
Yeah,
it.
my granddad
you know?
was a diehard Steeler fan,
Yeah.
and every time the game
Right.
was on Sunday, he would walk in the living room and go, these
Yeah.
guys fucking
Right.
suck.
But then Berkey comes in and is like, well, if he had this, look at his stats and look at this the catch rate and blah, blah, blah.
I think the issue is people deem their opinions to be fact.
Yes. It's more fun that way. I understand it. I'm just talking out my ass, but let me do it.
Hey, that's totally fair. You know what? I wanted this segment to only be 10 minutes, but I actually enjoyed it personally more than I've enjoyed any segment that we've done in a long time.
That's good.
So thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it.
And all of the picks were based off of unabated percent edge model.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
it
picked
was.
plus EV picks regardless of what
All
they did.
plus EV picks, not like last week where we chose a flip and got fucked.
All of my picks are not financial advice.
It was not an emotional flip, by the way.
This was a spite flip.
It was very much a spite flip, and it was an emotional hedge for me.
They would have won.
I feel like, hey man, all I wanted to talk about is trap games, you know?
Oh,
games.
beware. The
Trap
trap
games are a
games are
thing.
coming.
But like, how do you know it's a trap game?
Generally, if
Feel it in my bones.
generally if you're playing a team that has a win percentage in the single digits, that's a trap game for the Steelers.
Especially if they just come off a big win.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Especially.
shit.
Yeah. No, we're the trap game for the Raiders this time.
Oh, because the Raiders won?
No, I don't know.
Raiders
I'm just
lost.
saying we're supposed to be bad, so we become the trap game.
Yeah, but it has
Steelers
to
are never
be.
the trap
Yeah,
game.
what does Poindexter have to say
I
about
don't
this
know.
one?
Well, if the Steelers were playing the Raiders at home, they'd definitely lose.
Yes,
Since they're on the road,
completely.
they have
Totally
to gear
agree
up
with
for
that.
it.
Totally
like if they're
agree
at
with
home,
that.
they'd be like, the Raiders are coming in. We just beat the Browns. I don't have to work this week to
Yeah.
beat them. But now that they have to go on the road,
That's right.
They will go for it.
This is expert analysis that you can only get at the Only Friends podcast.
No, what I'm hearing is somebody projecting how they see games onto the entire team.
Oh, take your rationality and shove it up your ass,
Exactly.
Landon. I'm back on user
All right,
land.
let's go, Berkey. He's back on my side.
I
Let's
just want you guys to
go.
understand these are all just nonsense. This is just nonsense garbage,
You
but that's okay.
stink. You stink, sir. You're a bad guy. Speaking of stinking, let's talk about that win rate in the ACR Blitz pool.
I'm winning, sir.
Tell us a little bit about this endeavor you've embarked upon.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't necessarily a challenge because it's not. I know what it's like to call it
Looks like
issue
you're being
challenge.
challenged.
Yeah, I am being challenged. I like the challenge. It's good. Not in like a sense of how many hands. I'm just playing Blitz content and streaming it. So probably 80 to 90% of the hands that I'm going to play are going to be on stream. Because if I'm playing, I can just stream it.
What
It's
stakes
not like
are
that
we in?
big
Chad,
of a deal.
maybe let Landon know if you would like to see him actually stream on our channel. Throw up a
Hey,
Landon
what
in
do
the
you
towel
think?
if you
Yes.
throw up the Landon towel emoji if you'd like to see these streams make their way over to S4Y YouTube.
Right. Yeah, you'd probably be more aware of them, and he'd probably have a bigger audience.
It's possible.
Possible.
Anyway, go on.
We should
You
try
were
it and
saying.
see.
You were saying.
Anyways, like if I can play, I can stream. So I've just been streaming 200 Blitz at like any random time of the day because I don't really have a schedule. I just kind of do things when I feel like it.
Thick brag.
Celebrate September. Save up to 30% off on a subscription until October 1st until 12 a.m. Pacific time. So yeah, I've been streaming a lot recently, mostly like Monday to Friday and then Saturday when I'm around. Sundays are for tournaments, so not on those days. But I've just been trying to put in hands and see if I can beat it. And if I can beat it, doesn't necessarily mean play 50,000 hands, play 100,000 hands. It's more just like, okay, I'm going to play this for as long as I feel like I'm having fun. And I'm also doing well when it comes to the rake back and all that stuff, you know, because like the win rate of the Blitz pool isn't the same as the rake you pay, as well as we'll call it subscription rake back.
Right.
We'll call it things along those lines, because I kind of like doing the content stuff and then maybe start getting an editor and do like highlights and potentially like make my way into not like the content creation kind of idea, but have poker content and do some fun stuff with it. Because the content kind of does it. So like I play and the content is what it is. You don't have to do anything else to it.
Okay, but content aside, let's talk real little brass here,
Yeah.
real nuts and bolts of it. What's this pool look like? Are you winning?
It's so when you look at the graph, it's kind of hard to say. And like 50,000 hands, you would think in a normal setting, like especially playing live, you'd think you can get a good idea as to if you're winning or not. Online, you kind of have no real idea, but you can kind of have a sense of where you think you're finding win rate. And sometimes where you think you're finding win rate and if you're actually winning in that spot are two different things, right? Just like the Steelers being a Super Bowl contending team versus not statistically.
Where do I bet it? Where do I bet it?
So this is the graph of the month.
Underdog Fantasy.
It's a good graph of the month. We've had winning at 5 bigs per 100.
Get to that.
First 20,000
You
hands.
can take the higher or lower.
Yeah.
on win.
Higher or lower on win rate.
Yeah.
So the first 20,000 hands, I was kind of getting acclimated to the pool. Not necessarily trying to play as close to theory as possible, but it's that weird in between of how much did your strategy really change. Like I know for sure I was calling a lot from small blind when I first started, and you kind of lose a lot of win rate there, but then part of it's just inherent variance. So it's a real in between of like how can you judge if you're winning or not? And honestly, you just have to play a ton of hands. And I looked at variance calcs all the time, and when you see that over, did I put 100,000 or 50,000? I think I put 50.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an assumed, like let's call it an assumed win rate of 3 big blinds per 100 playing online poker, and you play 50,000 hands, there's still a 30% chance that you lose over that sample.
So like 3 big blinds per 100, is that good? Bad?
I'd say with the rake that you pay, because you're paying a lot in rake to ACR, but you're also getting rake back. Like they have a really good rake back program.
Okay.
So the overall rake, I think there's like a flat rake back of like 27%, and then there's like points exchanges and stuff like that. So I've paid roughly like 5K in rake. So even though I've won on the graph like 4 buy-ins, actually getting back a quarter of the rake back, I've won back 1250, so I've won 10 buy-ins. So the win rate isn't necessarily what is being shown.
Right.
That's just the graph for what it is, with the rake being attributed as well.
Okay.
So breaking even in the pool while also getting rake back, you're winning money at a pretty decent big blinds per 100.
Right.
Landon, if you had to guess your hourly.
I don't do it for hourly, but low. Like in the comparatively speaking.
We figured it.
What is? I'm sorry. It's 200.
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
1-2.
it's 1-2.
The rake back is about $40 an hour, give or take, from what we estimated. So if you have any win rate on top of that, you could be maybe making upward. Like if you're winning, I don't know, 3 big blinds per 100.
You can make a lot.
How many
actually.
tables?
Well, you couldn't make a lot, but you could make like $100 an hour.
Yeah, I mean.
So we were talking about this. We were talking about this on the drive over. Like, I get that. Well, I guess more specifically,
Twitch
like
sub break back too. No, just
I guess more specifically, like when those numbers are presented to me, I scoff at them a bit in the sense that there's just so many other environments that you can make more. Like you can make $40 an hour at 1-3 if you're the best player in the pool.
Yeah.
You for sure can make 40 an hour at 2-5 if you're a winning player in the pool.
Of course.
So it's like, I struggle to see the allure of wanting to play in this ridiculously tough pool that's potentially filled with bots. And
yeah, I mean, friends have sent hands that people have like looked up wizards.
Yeah, a lot of other things that are potentially sucking a lot of win rate in a nefarious way. And I get it, like you'll get battle tested, you'll get better, but what's the end game? And what I overlooked when I said all of that is that I wouldn't do this now. But at some point in everyone's career, you have to be willing to grind for $40 an hour. Right? Like at some juncture, regardless of where you're at, if you do not have a role, we were talking about like the Supernova Elite back in the day for stars.
Yeah.
And Landon was just kind of like, oh man, like that's sick that they got such like high rake back. There must have been guys who just like grinded Supernova Elite year over year. And I was like, I don't think so. I think like you do it once, maybe twice, and it's just to build a role kind of thing, because most of them were like breaking even or losing small, but they were making like 100, 120K in all of the rakeback perks that Supernova Elite offered. So it's like, they had an okay year, they had a 6-figure year, but they're capped at that because they can't really generate much win rate putting in that much volume. And then on top of that, like if you look at it from an hourly standpoint, it's not like they're playing 20 or 30 hours a week. They're playing like 50 or 60. So it's like, it all broke down to like somewhere between 20 and $40 an hour. But if you're playing like 25 cent, 50 cent, or 10 cent, 25 cent, or whatever to get Supernova Elite back in the day, or in this instance, grinding rake back on ACR, that's a huge score. You've now gotten the role and probably the chops in some regard.
Shot take, play higher.
To shot take and play higher and give yourself a real chance at having like a $200 an hour hourly or a $300 an hour, something that is beyond the pale of comfort and now into the level of high success. And I think that that's kind of overlooked in the sense that a lot of people, I'm speaking more to the audience now, that when they're in that come up phase, when they decide like this is something that they want to dedicate themselves to, this is something that they want to do.
This is it.
They miss that they need to find a way to put in volume for a low hourly, right? And instead they see it as like this linear progression where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to start at 1-2 no limit and I'm going to progress my way up to 10-20. And I'm just going to do it year over year over year. But the issue with that is it doesn't take into account the stress and strain on your bankroll whenever you go through downswings, whenever you have life events that cut into your roll, whenever you have to pay your bills off the roll, like whatever. What ends up happening is you actually just get caught in the loop.
Yeah.
You start at 1-2, you never leave 1-2. You start.
There's a lot of guys like that.
Yeah, and it's because they become comfortable making $30-40 an hour, right? They start to now see it as the ceiling rather than as a jumping off point. And I think that that's the one thing that if I can offer advice as far as like having a dedicated path and understanding like how you're going to move through your trajectory is recognizing where it is that you are capable of making a decent hourly that is just a painful grind, right? Like even making 15 or 20 bucks an hour playing, micro stakes online or whatever, but being able to crank out massive amounts of volume to do it, it's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, this is how I started. I was on stake. When I dropped out of college on stake playing 10 cent, 20 cent.
Yeah.
And my mom gave me 6 months. I had to pay her $500 a month after the 6 months to kind of prove that I wasn't wasting my time. But that was the only overhead I kind of really had. And I was very fortunate that that was my only overhead because I spent every waking hour playing poker. Like at some point in my, that point in my life, poker was escapism.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to play, and I'm going to get really good because I know at some point it's all going to culminate to something else.
So the pushback that I then have is you're at a stage of your career where I don't know that it's important to grind for 30 bucks an hour, 40 bucks an hour.
Right. I don't think it is I don't think it's the highest hourly I can be doing now, but I think that there might be some sort of path for me into the creation standpoint where maybe I'm streaming more, maybe I'm having something to play from that enjoyment and experience, because now if I think that there's some sort of potential asymmetric growth from a content creation standpoint, that's going to be worth it to me more than playing poker, because I love playing poker and I'm still going to be good at it and I'm going to have a high hourly I was having this conversation with the chat here and there. I'm like, look, I can play whatever stakes I want to when it comes to, call it, selling action and doing things along those lines. I'm never going to have an issue playing the highest game in the room if it's open to the public, right? Private games seem different story. But when it comes to how I enjoy my time and where I'm having the most fun, I'm enjoying my time doing the stuff I'm doing now. And I think that there is potential growth there as well.
Yeah, I think that it's hard when you're young to take a step back and just have an objective approach to projecting the returns on your time. Because I think that optimism just kind of wins. And it's good to be optimistic. It's good to take, high risk with maybe a low guarantee of reward, that type of stuff. But I also think that it becomes a little bit foolish whenever you can kind of look at an industry and see year over year over year what it looks like, what the growth looks like, where the ceilings are, whether or not it's capped, etc. And then just tell yourself I'm going to be different. I'm going to be the one who sets it apart. And from the content side, there's 3 to 5 streamers worldwide that truly have a large audience, and they're all rest of world. It's just really not a viable path in the United States. The only reason those 5 are even really set apart is because they have a multi-million-dollar industry or operator pushing behind them. When you're talking about Lex, Spraggy, Kev Martin, I'm trying to think who a couple of the other Finton, Tonka.
Basically Stars Pros.
These guys are all stars and GG pros.
Yeah.
They just all have this massive machine churning behind them. And that wave has kind of passed now, where I don't think we're going to see another cycle of this necessarily unless a new market opens. And whoever is in that new market will then be the new cycle, right? If you see America gets brought into the fold, then sure. But you'll already be in a good position to head that charge if America ever becomes open.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because I do like playing in the pool, and the optimism wins. If I took optimism wins from when I first started playing poker, I would have never dropped out of school.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the optimism, you'll never have the drive.
Yeah.
And in some cases,
but at least in that instance, you can see a high ceiling. You can look around and see people who have made millions of dollars playing the game. It's a lot less so with the content side.
How many people? I don't think that many people were making millions of dollars when I first got into poker. At least I didn't think so. When I first got into poker, I thought I was yeah, you can make 6 figures a year.
Yeah. And
now that I can do that and my overhead is low, fortunately for me, it's better in my opinion for what I want to do. Back to the sub, yeah. Sub in September. Give me some extra sub break back. Just for the things that I want to do, I'm kind of enjoying it and I'm comfortable, but I see where the growth could lead. And if it doesn't, there's no problem because I can still have the time to play online poker and do very well. My hourly is way better not streaming and playing online, or maybe like call it finding app games, doing this, that, or whatever. But like those are some things that like you don't really want to do from a personal standpoint. I like the way that my time is being spent now.
Do you ever see yourself in it going on like the path that Berkey went, like where now he's in like a regular, pretty high stakes game, live game at at Bellagio, where you'd play maybe 4 or 5 days a week?
No, I don't think so.
Where you could have a really high win rate.
I don't think so.
Make a lot of money.
Doesn't feel like it's for me.
Get to play with a lot of fun people.
I'm sure it's a great time. It's just also
right.
like I would rather spend my time
Is
playing
it the
online.
grind of it? You don't want to like. Is it? It's just.
Part of it, part of
Yeah.
it's just like it's just a different kind of game.
Mhm.
I still love tournaments, and I still love
Right.
playing tournaments where Sundays I look forward to. I'm like, oh man, like I can't wait to play more tournaments.
Right. Yeah.
And I have a good time doing it. And then during the day, it's like, well, with the schedule that I have now, while also
You want-
trying to live the balanced lifestyle.
Mhm.
Call it like doing the podcast Monday to Friday, also lifting, also doing these
Well,
things.
at what point do you shift your focus to making a higher hourly? Because you say that you love playing online and all of these things, but whenever you make the strong commitment to play the 200 Blitz pool, you're kind of foregoing the opportunity to make a lot of money.
In the sense of going to go play live, or
Just any
play higher
alternative.
stakes online, or
Yeah, higher stakes online, more volume elsewhere. Like if you're willingly taking on a pool that you don't think offers a ton of win rate outside of rakeback, it seems as though like you're almost potentially or purposefully capping yourself.
Well, it just depends on where you see the growth from the creation standpoint. Like if I think like call it from a Twitch audience, things increase. Call it more.
Well, why does that matter? You could
yeah.
stream 1K NL and have the same sort of growth metrics, right?
Right. You're just saying like why not play higher?
I mean,
Man.
if you think that you're making 0 to 3 big blinds per 100 in 200 Blitz, and you think you're making 0 to 3 big blinds per 100 in 1K NL,
Right.
you're making way more money at 1K
You used to
NL.
do the same thing. I think part of it's just like for the viewing experience. Like I'll play whatever. It doesn't really necessarily matter to me. At the same time, I know it's a lot more engaging to watch like 4 tables at once when there's things going on. Like I just had some conversation with friends about it that don't even play poker, where it's like it's really like it's like almost like mesmerizing to watch like 4 tables at once. It's like how is all the stuff happening at one time? Yet there's still like a method to the madness.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear Jeremiah's take on this after having put in a lot of time streaming. It seems as though he really does enjoy it. I'm wondering how much he thinks it affects his win rate, and then I'm also wondering like how much he deviates off of his normal game selection based off the fact he's streaming. And my best guess is that he doesn't. I think he just plays what
like
he
me.
would play.
But he'll play whatever. Is the difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess like that's my point, is at the end of the day, I think that he's still focused on having
Increasing
the highest win
hourly.
rate and having the best hourly that he could possibly have, which is ultimately what playing poker professionally is all about.
Right. You're basically just asking why you play in the Blitz pool instead of other options.
Yeah, or like why aren't you grinding the online bracelets every day? Like, first of all, that'll bring in way more viewership.
Yeah.
Way more viewership. So
Not
it
a lot
can't
of
be about
stream
the content
MTTs.
thing. Huh?
Not allowed to stream MTTs.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not streaming bracelets.
Oh, okay.
You're
Fair.
not on Twitch and all that stream?
No, you are, but like for personal reasons, it's like called
Gotcha.
yeah. No MTTs
Okay.
for now.
I mean, I didn't know you had the secret sauce like that.
Yeah. No, I didn't either. Yeah, you got to get better at
Yeah.
MTTs before that.
I just feel like if you're
You need
streaming
to get
poker,
better
you're
at cash. If
streaming
they're,
poker.
if they're saying, go ahead, stream cash. Well, there's cash on your own.
Well, I mean, for cash, it's on my own action.
Yeah, I
I'm back
know,
to
I
MTTs.
know. I get
so
you.
they're just like, hey, like we don't want you
Right.
streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense, right? For
I
sure.
mean, kind of. I would make the same argument with him streaming cash. It's still his thought process kind of out in the ether. There isn't that big of a divide between MTTs and cash.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Other people don't really, not in that sense, like from their side.
So
but,
do
like,
you see yourself?
people see them as different
do you-
things, like cash or tournaments?
Do you see yourself okay, so like, do you see a path where you want to like play at a very, very high level, and like, is that lean more towards tournaments and not so much cash, or both, or vice versa?
It's one of those weird where does the wind take you? Because call it like Poker Masters going on. There's definitely win rate in the better tournaments, like the early ones, like the 10Ks. Like I feel like I'm definitely winning, and selling wouldn't be an issue. But then it becomes the issue of also hourly in a sense, right? Because now if you're selling, call it 90% to a 10K, and for me personally, like when I would sell to stuff now, like I'd rather just like sell a face. So okay, now you're playing a 1K where you're playing against some of the best in the world, and you're maybe winning 5% if you're lucky. So now you're making $50 to go play a 1K, where instead you could be doing something else and having a higher hourly. So the hourly is definitely still an important thing, because I do find like I would love to go play Poker Master stuff and like go have a good time in that arena and experience what a full series is like with that, you know? But at the same time, there's also it's not your capital at risk too.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's the sole reason to put in high volume at a low hourly is to make it be your capital, but that doesn't seem to be your objective in this particular instance. So I guess like that's why my mind shifts then to, well, where's the highest hourly available? Right. Like it seems as though there's conflicting things at odds here.
Yeah. It's just because I could stream WSOP playing 2.5, and at the same time, like it doesn't matter what I effectively stream. It's just like how you go about doing it. But also I think at this point, it's not like I like the challenge for the purpose of saying I can beat the pool, but I definitely do like showing up and playing in the Blitz pool. Even
I think
though
people
I know
just enjoy, I mean, not just speaking of you, but I think people in general just enjoy like mindless structure. So not having to game hunt, not having to be on call, not having to get paralyzed by choice day in and day out of like, am I going to play MTTs today? Am I going to play cash? Do I need to be here rigidly between these hours or not? Or can I just fire it up whenever I feel like it? Like these freedoms and structures definitely gravitate towards calming the mind, where it's just like, I know that I'm a 200 Blitz reg that will just play and stream whenever I have some downtime. And like, that's going to be as much energy and effort as I put into it. I think the problem is like, from my vantage point, that's just so much more of a recreational mindset. And I think that I think that as a professional who's very talented and skillful, it's important to leverage those skills in the highest way possible that doesn't allow you to burn out, doesn't allow you to kind of fall out of love with the game. And doing these fun challenges and content and stuff like that is a good way to keep it less routine, I guess. But I think, and this doesn't just apply to you. I mean, we're kind of honing in on you because you're the one under the microscope at this point. But I think this is just like very commonplace for people who are trying to find their footing in this career field. Is that people like to dabble a lot. They like to keep it spicy. They like to keep the romance in the relationship, so to speak. And the issue is that you never really focus in on the things that matter the most, which are bankroll growth, hourly growth, maximizing these spots and ensuring that you are progressing towards being freer in your 30s, right? Like, that's the one thing about being young is that...
okay, my pushback is define free.
Well, I was about to. Like, when you're young, you don't really have a lot of value for your time. So you don't attribute a lot of high worth to it because time feels infinite. You have a lot of it to expend, and wasting it isn't really all that bad. But as you get older in your 30s and 40s, your time becomes very precious to you. Life becomes very chaotic. There's a lot of other things that you're responsible for. We kind of had this conversation the other day where you were just like, yeah, I mean, like, I love MTTs. That's what I want to pursue. But I also love lifting. I love having these routines and building relationships and, all this life stuff. And it's like, well, you're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. That stuff's never going away. You're going to have it for the rest of your life. And you're going to compound about another 100 things that you're responsible for year over year between now and when you die. So it's like being mindful of how your time is being invested when you have a lot of it will free up a lot of time on the back end whenever you have a lot less of it. And I think, like, if I could speak to my younger self, that would have been the area that I would have said, like, you know, pay a little bit more attention to.
Well, what did you do then that you would have changed?
So the thing that I think I did right was I always gave myself the highest opportunity at a windfall or a big ceiling, right? So
at the expense of going dust.
Yeah, obviously at the expense of going dust, but I gave myself big asymmetrical upside.
Dust.
Yeah.
Right?
She's living a good life.
So I was basically trying to buy myself time in the future by just like setting myself up with a big score. What I would have done differently, however, was just hone in on a single skill, or maybe not a single skill, but hone in on a single craft, right? So put a lot of my focus to basically like getting myself into a pool, proving to myself that I could beat a pool, and then trying to progress through that pool as quickly as basically trying to speed run it, right? And what that would have done is it would have mitigated my risk a little bit. So whenever I did have big scores, when I have a 50K Venetian win or whatever, I'm not just playing 10-20. Instead, like, I know what my win rate is. I know what my hourly is at 510. I grind that out until I can double it to 100K, and then I move to 1020. Like, I basically would have just been able to project where my failure points and where my successes would be a lot better if I was mindful of the fact that we are playing for an hourly wage rather than you know, just big scores. But back then, that wasn't the way we viewed poker.
Yeah, well, I think I've played probably 70 hours. So if we're playing 70 hours with the assumption that I'm winning, let's just call it $75 an hour, just for not even using 100. If you end up playing, what, like 2,000 hours?
Yeah, it's 150K a year.
Yeah. So like at some, like, call it the short term, long term, or whatever, where it's like that in itself is like a good way to go from, like, if someone told me, hey, if you just like played Blitz whenever you had free time and streamed it, you would make 150K, like you would make 150K this year.
Well, that's not that though. 2,000 hours is not just you playing in free time. That's 40 hours a week.
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, that's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
It's essentially a full-time job with no vacation time.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty brutal.
While you're also still trying to juggle all these other things that you're talking about. Like,
right.
you're nowhere near on pace to play 2,000 hours. You're probably not on pace to pay 1,000.
People say 2,000 hours.
It's just a given.
They throw it out, but yeah, I know. But like when you really break it down, it is a lot. It is a lot, and it's grinding literally every day, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, or 7 days a week, 6 hours a week, 6 hours a day. You know,
compare it this way: you probably work out somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 hours a year. You probably are on this podcast set for somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 hours a year. That's 15% of a 2,000 hour work year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like just those two activities alone, let's say,
take that times 6.
Right, are equating to about 800 hours, right? Yeah. Now multiply that by 2.5, and you need to be playing that Blitz pool 2.5 times more often than you're working out and playing the pod or being on the pod.
For 2,000 hours.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Just to get to 2,000 hours.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So like I mean, all right, challenge is over.
Sorry, fans.
Sorry, guys. Matt had to rain on the parade.
Just talked them out of it.
No, I mean,
but you know what? If you're gonna do it on the S4Y channel, go for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, that really should be a thing. I think that'd be great content.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it today too. Like, I enjoyed streaming when I streamed, and I miss streaming, but the upside is so insanely low.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't see it that way because, like, you're kind of surrounded by content creators and you want to get into that space more. But you have to see it through my lens as well, where it's like I have a much larger platform with an already baked in audience and wasn't moving the needle at all. Like, getting 800 to 1,000 viewers concurrent sounds amazing, but it's really very insignificant when it comes to if the end goal is like, how do I monetize this? Right? If I don't have a company, I don't monetize it. Nobody's going to come and pay me $250,000 a year to stream to get 1,000 people concurrent. Like, they just won't. You know? It's just not a thing.
Cricket, you broke his brain.
No, because
Honestly, I think in the poker space,
yeah.
if you have 1,000 concurrent on Twitch, I think you're doing all right. Am I wrong?
It's very good. It's just
In any
nobody's
space.
in any space, but just nobody's gonna pay you anything for it. Like Manscaped might come in and hit me with a $1,500 ad read here and there.
Well, it just depends.
It's no different than the pod, Like we did pretty well for ourselves during the Robbie, but like doing well for ourselves was like barely covering costs.
Well, I guess it's all for nothing.
So you want to be a poker player?
Hang it up.
You want to be a content creator?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you just
Wants to be both.
He wants to be everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
He wants to be a bodybuilder.
At end of the day, I like betting on myself, so I'm going to trust myself on this one. And
That's
if I'm
good.
wrong,
You should.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You should.
But I'm here now
just
because I
want
bet
you
on
to-
myself.
I personally just want you to bet on your poker more than your anything else. You want to create content, do it while you're on the pod. But like, I would just like to see you bet on yourself playing high stakes poker and winning lots and lots and lots of money. Like, at some point, you're gonna have to face the fact that you should be a millionaire, right?
Implied millionaire, Chewy calls it.
Well, yeah, but the problem is you can't be an implied millionaire forever. At some point, that becomes a failure, right? So
Not if you win Circa.
Not that you're, well, of course.
True. Yeah.
Not that you're at that point now. You're 24. Like you shouldn't wake up tomorrow with 7 figures. But the point is that you're on a path. You're on a trajectory where
there.
you could make
You
$1
should
million.
wake up at 25 with $1 million. Yeah, I got it.
You certainly shouldn't be 30 and not have $1 million. Like that would be devastating, I think.
Good luck, buddy.
Yep. All right, that's it from us, guys. Have a good weekend. I'm going to go to LA and hang out with some friends. No stream today. No stream tomorrow. No stream Sunday.
I can't wait. I'll
be back Monday. Twitch.tv/Landon Tice for 30% off September.
I'm actually very excited for this. I think a lot of what we said, can kind of apply a little bit to Conrad as well.
See, I streamed 17 hours ago.
It's, there's a lot of money in the streets, boys.
Yep,
there's a lot of money in the streets. Everybody should go collect it. That's going to do it for us. I actually am hopefully going to go play myself, try to collect some of these dollars in the streets as well.
Same.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Don't forget, today there is a special sign-up bonus of $500 match on Underdog Sports, or Underdog Fantasy, rather. Head on over there. You can hit hashtag Underdog in the chat. It will give you the link, or click the link below. Use S4Y as the sign-up code. Big shout out to our sponsor, Underdog. We appreciate you so much. That's going to do it for us. We're going to be back Monday at noon Pacific. We'll see you guys all then.
Peace.
Later, squad.